All right, I'm gonna get into it. Here we go, guys. Everyone ready? Da 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 da. Okay, can everyone see? Does that work? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So, welcome. I am super excited to tell you all about a project that's been in the works for about 2 years. It's called Circe, and the working title, which might change, is The Life and Death of a Goddess. This is going to be a performance done over 3 nights. It'll be a live performance outdoors, and we're planning on doing it this August. And we anticipate that this COVID scenario will be different, but in the event that COVID is still a real thing, this is COVID safe as it is outdoors in a nice windy area, open area. So I'm gonna start by just introducing myself a little bit for those that don't know me. My name is Serena, and I'm a visual artist. I do a lot of weird and crazy things, including I have built Siren Island. This is our 3rd year running. I do a lot of immersive events related to the island. I also have a fine art practice. This image on the right is one of my most recent pieces that I did at Dream Farm Commons, which Anne is here. Thanks, Anne, for helping me make that happen. And this piece you can check out on my website, and it's a video, and it's my first international piece. It showed in Italy last year. Very exciting. I am going to be starting my MFA in Fine Arts this September. TBD where I'll be going, but I'll either be going to Goldsmiths in London or the Art Institute of Chicago. So that's what's going on in my life. This performance will be the last big event that I do before leaving the Bay in perpetuity for my master's. Now I would like to introduce Max, who I have known for maybe 15 years now, which is crazy to say out loud. Max and I are co-writing this performance, and I will let Max take over.
Thanks, Serena. So I'm Max Yeshaya Brumberg-Kraus. I use they, them, or he, him pronouns, and I'm the co-founder and director of the House of Larva Drag Cooperative. This is from one of our shows. I'm located in the Twin Cities with my collaborator, McKay Bram, who is in a sort of, who's a drag king that I work with, and a dancer performer. A lot of the work I do is in directing, in drag, and in playwriting. So really fits with some of the needs of what this project will entail. I have a master's in theology and the arts from the United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities, and do a lot of work at the intersection of myth and arts and training artists and helping artists connect with communities, community resources, and will be this next year leading a fellowship for our folks at the intersection of social justice work and arts with the organization Arts, Religion, Culture. Thanks, Serena. These are some more photos from some of our kind of drag cabarets that we've been a part of, a mixture of, one acts and also full-length shows, mostly in the Twin Cities, but also in Wisconsin, sort of Milwaukee, and in Boston area. We've done some shows. Very excited to be a part of this. A lot of my playwriting work, a lot of my writing experience is deeply tied to myths and the appropriation of myths and engagement of myths by LGBTQ plus populations. So how do queer people throughout time and place engage mythology, use mythologies for our own sense of community, purpose, justice, etc. Very glad to be here.
Cool. Thanks, Max. I have been trying to get Max to work with me on a project for so many years, so this is really a dream come true for me. So this presentation, the point of this presentation kind of has 2 goals. first and foremost, we are trying to raise money to bring this performance to fruition. The main expense for this production is paying actors and production staff. These are some of the demographics that are hardest hit due to COVID, and we see this as a way to employ a large group of very talented people to do an incredibly rewarding project. Some other expenses we're looking at are going to, of course, be renting a rehearsal space and lighting and sound equipment. The other thing that we are looking for, if you are not someone who is able to financially contribute, it takes an army to put these productions on. So how can you plug in? At the end of this presentation, get in touch with me directly and let me know. If you're a professional lighter, if you are someone who just has an entire garage full of fabrics, let us know. We are happy to have that conversation. If you want to be there for the performances and want to help on the back end with production staff, we need everything. So I'm going to start off, for those that don't know what Siren Island is, I'm just going to do a quick history of the project. So the island was constructed in May 2018, and it's modeled off of the mythological Siren Island, which I could do an entire presentation on that philosophy and the foundation of that myth and how fascinating and interesting it is. But I will skip that for now. But here's a painting. This was the main inspiration for my design. So you can see this previous slide. We created a rendering of it in Rhino, which then translated to fabrication construction documents. We coordinated with Ferris Wolf Fabrications, I believe their name is. Ben Wolf was our head fabricator in Detroit, super talented maker. And it's constructed out of marine grade aluminum on a reclaimed 24-foot pontoon boat. So this photo is probably the most famous photo. This was published on the front page of the SF Chronicle 2 summers ago after our big apotheosis performance. And I will play for you. This was our advertising that Carter Grimes shot for us. So you can see the island is quite large. When fully anchored, it is 28 feet by 24 feet, 2 stories. It has a very large cave structure. And something that's very important to this project is material authenticity. As you can see, it's entirely decked in reclaimed old growth redwood, and the verticals are maple trees. So moving along. Oops. How do I go to the next slide from here? There we go. There's some more images. We also have a parachute that we set up sometimes. And we've historically done spa treatments, but starting after the first year, we started doing spa treatments and doing performances. The performances historically have been more satirical, kind of poking fun at whatever event or group of people we're hosting at that time. So Circe really is kind of we're launching in a different direction, where rather than producing kind of these improvisational satirical pieces that are site specific, we are looking at doing a very professional, well-researched, written performance play. So this is some photos of Apotheosis. This was from the June raft up, I believe in 2019, could be 2018, not sure. But you can see we perform in the round. I believe there's about 50 something boats tied in a circle in Clipper Cove off of Yerba Buena Island in the San Francisco Bay. This is pretty cool overhead drone photo. So that's of course the island in the middle. These are some photos of the performance. We have Odysseus and Dionysus and Poseidon crawling up the side of the island here. And this was a performance at Ephemeral where we had the audience tie to us. And so it formed a semicircle of boats and a flotilla almost in a half circle downstream from us. Some photos of the audience. They absolutely love this performance. And most people that I've talked to that have seen our work at Ephemeral have told us that it is the highlight of the event for them. So very proud of that. The wings on the island are designed to be around neutral buoyancy. So they're easy to climb on and they actually interact with the water as if they're a shore. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Circe now. The most important thing to first understand about this play is its location. The location is as much a character as anything else in the play. So we have been working with the Point San Pablo Harbor Marina, which is in Richmond, California. And for those of you based out of the Bay, you'll recognize this map. This is out in the middle of nowhere. If you look at and see over here where the little red dot is, there's no housing over there or anything. That's all land that's owned by the Chevron oil refinery. So this harbor has one road that leads to it. And if you're not going to the marina, no one else is going there, which means that it creates this perfect secretive little cove for a community marina. Our friend Rob Fife, who I've been talking with for about 2 years about doing a performance within the marina, has been super supportive and is really excited to host us. So what's very cool about this marina is it's has these 2 jetties that reach out from into the San Pablo Bay as if your hands like reaching out to hug somebody. And they're—
That's okay, I'm not.
Oh, can you guys, Bea, can you mute yourself? The jetties are formed by a series of sunken metal ships that were left over from World War II. So these have since been filled in. You can see on the photo on the left, and to the photo on the right, which is closer to present day, that they're filled in and are actually full land masses that you can walk on. So we're planning on doing this performance the first weekend of August. We'll do a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night performance. And we've chosen this weekend because it's the new moon. So that means that there will be the least amount of light at night. So we are planning on using full pitch black to execute some of our lighting designs, and I think it'll add a lot of depth to the stage that we're dealing with. So the plan is to have the audience walk down the jetty around dusk and to watch the sunset, and then shortly after, once that pitch black sets in, the play will commence. So at the end of one of the jetties, there is a giant stack of piers that are unused and left over from the creation of the marina. And these are about a foot square and maybe 50 plus feet long. So these would normally be driven down into the water, into the ground below the water. And then that creates the stability to actually build docks. So the marina was never fully completed, and these are currently just stacked up at the edge of the pier, forming a natural amphitheater seating, essentially. Does that make sense? You guys get that? So we're going to seat the audience outside on these piers, And where the big yellow circle is where we're going to anchor the island, and that would be the main stage. There's also a partially sunken barge that is, there's a good amount of it above water. So we're planning on building that out and using it as an auxiliary stage. So the thing about this play, oops, I'm trying to move this over here. Each of these locations are themselves not only part of the stage layout, but they actually also play a role in how the performance is executed. So the audience represents the land of the living, and the water is the threshold between the land of the living and the shores of death. And the main stage, Siren Island, represents the shores of death. And so our actors will be traversing this water and interacting with the water, and adding kind of this context of the spatial awareness of where things are. The island itself will have underwater lighting effects to demarcate the convergence of the four rivers of death, which, if you have a background in Greek mythology, these are fairly common places that come up in the myths, such as Orpheus or the Odyssey, when they go into death to talk to their former loved ones, or Hades or anything like that. So our characters will not only be interacting with the water, they will be bathing in it, they will be having the emotional process of what it means to drink, let's say, from the river of misery or the river of wailing. And so Solange, who's on this meeting, has been working with me to actually start doing the costuming for the play, which has been really exciting to have so much time to actually think out what these characters are, how we can portray them. And so this is probably my favorite costume so far, mainly because it's so big and ambitious. But Helios is Circe's father. He is the Titan representation of the sun. And these on the left are inspirational photos, and to the right is where we are within our costuming process as far as creating a radiating crown for him, and like a full almost 8 or 10 foot circle that will have light projecting from behind it, so that whenever Helios is present on stage, he is himself radiating light. Our two probably main characters, Circe, of course. This is our concept for her outfit, and Hermes, the iconic sash and running toga. Here you can see Solange and me modeling some of our nymph costumes. We have our Oceanid, our Dryad, and Flora, which is like a flower nymph. So these have been really fun to make, and they're, I think, are going to add a lot of beautiful color to this stage. So now I'm going to get into some of the technical things that we've been thinking about. This is a photo that James sent me. This is James Lucy, who's also on the call. James, if you want to say anything about this, please unmute yourself. I'll just hit play. But he's been looking into some of the nuances of our lighting, both for Helios and also the underwater lighting for the island.
Yeah, this is just a high-powered LED that Helios will probably hold and sort of be able to radiate light from, representing that sun. It'll be addressable, and we'll have surrounding ambient lighting too, and a lot of cool things interacting with the water too.
Cool. Thanks, James. And then this video I'm going to play, let me just give you some context for it. One of the things that is really interesting about Madeline Miller's depiction of Circe in her book, which we're using we're kind of modeling a lot of the characters from her interpretation of the mythology, is that Circe has a voice of a mortal. And we really want to show this differentiation between the Olympians, the Titans, and then the mortals. And so one of the ways that we are going to do that is to actually have a custom sound effects for the Olympians and say the Titans. And this is an example of what that might sound like.
I was thinking about regenerative biology, biotechnologies, and thinking that actually our relationship to death today might be quite close to the one that ancient Egyptians had.
So
I'm setting up two ancient gods that are creating an elixir of life.
That's Margaret Hume. I don't speak French. I don't know how to say her last name. She's one of my favorite artists. And this was a project where she looked at what did Cleopatra sound like, and worked with some scientists to kind of develop that sound. But I think it has this perfect quality of like reverb and ethereal nature. So kind of using that as an example for you guys to kind of get what we mean when we say we really want to be using everything in our tool set to emphasize these characters appropriately. So that's the gist of my, like, the logistical end. So I want to hand it over to Max now to kind of talk about the themes that we're working with. And I could go into detail more about the story, but I hope that you guys will come see the performance. So I don't want to give too much away. So Max, you want to take it over?
Yeah. So a lot of the themes that we'll be working with deal with kind of dualism. So there's this sense of sky and these beings attributed to the sky, and then these beings of the earth, the Olympians and their kind of rationality or godliness versus the primality of the Titans, masculine male deities and feminine female characters. We're playing a lot with these dualities and how they affect each other and how they come together in often difficult and challenging and even frightening ways in the character and story of Circe. One of the words that I'll introduce to some folks maybe is chthonic, the word chthonic, which is a Greek for of the earth. And throughout mythology, Greek mythology, you have characters like Medusa or Scylla and Charybdis, these monstrous, often but not exclusively, female characters who represent matter and chaos and earth and flesh and emotions, who are overcome by male heroes. You see this theme over and over again in more recent examples, Clash of the Titans, and Jason and the Argonauts, and some of these movies from Hollywood are part of that long tradition going back thousands of years of subjugating what was perceived by a male and patriarchal society, dominant society, as a threat. And the threat is this monstrous womanhood, this threat to male power, this male dominance, patriarchal dominance rather. So that's a key piece that we're looking at. We're also looking at what is the relationship between mortals and immortals, between gods and humans. What happens to a divinity in mythology? What happens to a divinity after the encounter with a human lover or a human enemy? What shapes the immortal? How does the human impact the mythological? What traces do we leave across time, across space, across realities? These are the key questions that we're going to be looking at in this production. How does the mythological, the symbolic, the transcendental come back to us and live in us and experience this fleshy, complicated human world? And likewise, how do we impact the world of dreams, myth, magic, and undeath? So that's kind of, I think, what I'll leave you with, a taste of these themes.
Thanks, Max. So that's kind of the end of the presentation. Of course, we are looking for financial contributions, and we're also looking for people that are interested in working with us. So, I want to talk to anybody who has either of those two things that, get in touch. I'll open it up now for any questions or comments that you guys have. For me or Max, anyone?
I have a question.
Yep. Hey, Anne.
So it looks really amazing. It all looks really fantastic. The boat, it looked so cool to be able to be on a boat watching it. Would there be the opportunity to be like on a kayak on the water next to where you're performing, or it's all going to be seated?
I think for this performance, we are actually going to have boats in the water for bringing characters kind of to these different locations. So probably not for this performance, but if you wanted to come early and go kayaking, there's a boat launch right there. And I should also say that the Point San Pablo Harbor Marina has not only a restaurant, but a full bar with a liquor license. So that's another really exciting thing is there'll be the option for COVID safe dinner theater. Come eat dinner and then come see this show and get a cocktail or a beer.
Great. We'd certainly be happy to do any publicity through Dream Farm, like, sending it out to our mailing list and all of that. And yeah, I'm happy to make a donation personally, so I can talk to you afterwards.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Anne. Anyone have any other questions or things they want to say?
I think one question was you mentioned this the first like the first enactment of this was like from August 6th to 8th. Do you plan to do that like after that as well?
So I want to, this is already such a big idea. I don't want to add any more complications. It's already like testing fate to try and plan anything during a pandemic, I think. So yeah, our goal is to do this once, and it is really site specific, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen somewhere else. It just means that we'd have to work hard to make sure the location was appropriate and didn't lose anything if, let's say, we did a performance of this in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago. We'd still want all of those elements, like the water, like the island, the land of the living. All of these things I think would still need to be present for the performance.
Thanks.
I think this is all just wonderful. I'm really happy to have been a part of it so far, and sort of seen it grow in iterations. I'm really excited to see the next one.
Cool. Thanks, Adam. Adam's one of our super amazing anchoring crew, because I can do a lot of things, but I can't anchor this island. This is not something I can do. Cool. Well, I guess I'll end this. I recorded it, so we'll be sending it out for folks that couldn't make it. If you know anyone who might want to view it, to find out what this project is about, to potentially financially contribute or volunteer, just get in touch. I'm really easy to find. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, everybody.
Super cool, Serena.
Thanks.